Chapter 1 Video Lecture Nature versus Nurture. I would say this isn't really a debate anymore, and that most modern day psychologists believe that development starts with nature and is shaped by nurture. Nature would be genetic predispositions, potential traits that you inherited from your parents. Nurture would be environmental factors. Later in the semester, we will talk about environmental correlations, which really gets at the heart of nature and nurture working together. One type of environmental correlation is reactive correlation. This is when a child's phenotype or expressed characteristics are different from the parents. The parents must react or change to provide the child with the environment they need to fully express those characteristics. For example, say a child is musically inclined and neither parent is. The parents, assuming they want to foster that ability, will need to change the environment to foster the child's musical ability. You may do this by buying the child a musical instrument. Stages of the lifespan. The lifespan perspective looks at all phases of life from prenatal to death. We break the lifespan into stages for rough guides to what happens developmentally during those years of development. Stages of the lifespan are socially constructed. The view emerged in the 17th century of children as innocents to be protected and nurtured. Prior to the 17th century, children were seen as miniature adults. Emerging adulthood is the last phase of the lifespan to be defined. Influences on development. As we move through the book, we will talk about critical and sensitive periods of development. A critical period of development is the time frame when, for most people, a developmental milestone must be met or it doesn't happen. There is some newer research to say this isn't necessarily true, but it is widely believed that if a child doesn't develop language by around age 7, the child will never have a grasp of language. Sensitive periods are when development is most likely to occur. For example, if you want a child to be truly bilingual, most developmental psychologists believe that the child needs to be exposed to the second language during the first 2 years of age. As we age, it becomes harder and harder to learn a second language. There is a dramatic decline after age 7 in the ability to acquire a second language. This makes sense given what I said about language development a minute ago. Does this mean if you don't learn a second language until high school, you can't be fluent? No, but it is much more difficult. But a bioecological model. Bronfenbrenner proposed an ecological system approach to explain how biology and environment interact in development. A microsystem is an immediate environment in which a person interacts face-to-face with other people and is affected by them. Likely to be family for infants, possibly daycare, and other caregivers like their grandmother. A mesosystem contains links between two or more microsystems. For example, if a teenager has a fight with a parent, we are likely to see problems at school. The exosystem involves social settings that individuals do not experience directly, but that can influence the individual. Local government and the parent's workplace are examples. The macrosystem is the larger cultural context. Living in America and how that influences your development. And finally, the chronosystem contains changes in people and their environments over the lifespan.